Good afternoon, and thank you for taking the time to hear about the Office 10 deployment and maintenance technologies. So in Office 2000, you might have had trouble with testing matrices, or your customers might have. Since Office 2000 deployed a lot of new system files, corporations had to run tests for the internal and external applications against these new level of system files. Or maybe in Office 2000, you had problems with reboot and having to reboot Office during the install and that causing troubles. Or maybe it was with deploying chained installs for corporations, especially those that wanted to use the language packs. They had trouble chaining all the installs together in order to get a cohesive deployment story. Also in Office 2000, you might have had problems with maintaining Office. Let's say a company like HP spinning off Allergent and needed to change their company name. Or maybe wanting to change a feature state after you've installed, so you've deployed Office. And then you wanted to deploy Outlook later and turn that feature on. Well, we had some ways to do that, but it really didn't work all that well. Or maybe you wanted to change a user setting, not necessarily set it through policy, but just make your users aware of something new. And trying to do that after you've already deployed. All those scenarios were really difficult. My name is Darrin Hatakeda, and I'm the lead program manager in the Office release and deployment team. And today we're going to be discussing how to get over a lot of those problems. So first of all, let's look at the goal. The goal of Office 10 as in Office 2000 has yet again made large steps forward in reducing the deployment and maintenance costs associated with Microsoft Office. So in Office 2000, we made large step forwards with our TCO effort. This time, we've made those efforts yet again in reducing the total cost of ownership through both improving our customization story and also greatly improving our maintenance of Office 10. So let's look at the agenda here. First of all, I'm going to be talking about enterprise versus retail. In Office 10, we're beginning to separate what it means to have an enterprise build and what it means to have a retail package. And there's distinct differences that you need to be aware of, and you need to ensure that your customers are using the enterprise version. Also, we'll talk about setup and deployment. And again, we've made customization and setup easier, as well as deployment for our users. I mentioned system file updates. We'll be getting to exactly what I mean by that and what benefits those have to your customers. We are continually updating the Office 2000 resource kit. Now it's going to be known as the Office 10 or whatever we call that resource kit with new and better tools. We'll be looking at the book and what we've done there to improve the book itself, as well as mentioning some improvements we've made on Windows Terminal Server. So let's go ahead and jump into what it means to be enterprise versus retail. So in Office 2000, we had one SKU that shipped to all of our customers. In Office 10, we now have a difference between the enterprise SKU and the retail SKU. In the retail version, it is going to require mandatory or subscription activation. So if you were to buy a package off the shelf, it's going to require the user, let's say for a perpetual product, to either connect to the web and connect to Microsoft, or call into a Microsoft customer service representative to get an activation key. Once that happens, they'll be able to use the product perpetually. Similarly, in the subscription case, they'll be able to buy a subscription version of Office, but again, they're going to need to contact Microsoft either through the web and the wizard that we have, or through a customer service representative in order to activate the product. Of course, in most corporations, they don't want their users doing that, and that's one of the features of the enterprise version. So the enterprise version is only available through open, select, and enterprise agreements. No longer can you go to your shelf and go to your retail store and just pull a package off the shelf. If you're going to want to deploy that into a small and medium-sized corporation that isn't select or under an enterprise agreement, they're going to need to go to the desk and ask for the special open version of Office. So what does the enterprise version of Office give you? It gives you 5 distinct things. First of all, the custom installation wizard and the custom maintenance wizard will only work against the enterprise-enabled bits. Also, the Office Resource Kit is going to be on the enterprise CDs, any of the suites. Setup/A which allows you to create an administrator image, and setup/q, which allows you to do a quiet install, will only work on the enterprise bits. Also, Microsoft is shipping with a new application called the Microsoft Solution Designer, and that product is only available in the enterprise versions. So now that you understand the difference between the enterprise and the retail builds, let's look at some of the changes that we've made to setup itself. And this applies across all versions. First of all, setup is more intelligent for upgrades. We have a technology now that's known setup same as last. So let's say you're deploying the Pro version of Office, and Access had never been installed on that machine, or some parts of Access, or Outlook maybe was set to install on demand, but it was never used or faulted in. Well, what's going to happen when Office 10 installs on that machine is it's going to detect the versions of Office that was previously on the machine, as well as the installation states. When Office comes onto that machine, it will set up the same as the Office 2000 version that was on that machine. Along with the more intelligent upgrades, we've also have more granular removal. In Office 2000, you can only keep or remove entire suites of applications. In Office 10, we made that more granular, allowing you to specify which applications you want to keep and remove. Of course, both of these settings can be changed through the custom installation wizard to override the setup same as last and always put down what the corporate administrator wants. And they can also choose through the custom installation wizard which applications they want to keep and remove, and not give that choice to the end user. Through setup and deployment, we've also looked at how we're improving chaining. In Office 2000, it was difficult to chain a lot of applications together. So for instance, in Office 2000, when you deployed multiple language packs, you had to chain one setup exe to the next, requiring you to go into each setup ini file and modify it. Another part of the problem with Office 2000 was when you did multi-language packs and multi-language installs. Many corporations didn't like the way we grouped languages together. They wanted to be able to pull individual languages and only deploy those. Well, in Office 10, each individual language is now its own separate MSI. And because of that, it makes it easier for corporations to only deploy the languages that they want, and only put up on the servers the languages that they wish, so they don't have to take up extra server space with the unwanted languages. Along with that and the improved chaining support, it allows corporations to now deploy easily the languages that they want with Office. Along with the improved chaining support, we've come up with a new tool, and that's a setup any customization tool. What that does is it gives administrators a graphical user interface to customizing the setup any file. That means that now they can go into the setup any customizer and through one wizard chain all the different language packs or other setups that they want into the setup any file using the graphical user interface. They also allow users to change some of the switches like /Q to change which quiet mode they're going to use. Again, as in previous versions, applications can coexist except for Outlook, as was the same in Office 2000. We've continued to maintain the backwards compatibility of our file format. So again, Office 2000 can open up Office 10 files. We've made improvements with setup from URLs. We can now set up from HTTP and FTP file stores. So there is some degradation, like you can't run from network server from an HTTP file store. But all this information like this is documented in the Office Resource Kit. Also, I want to make sure and mention that Windows 95 is no longer supported as an OS. Office 10 will not allow you to set up on Office 2000. We support Windows 98 and higher, as well as NT4 and higher. Which brings me to my last point on this slide, which is the separate installs for the system file updates. And I have one whole slide on this, so let's go ahead and move there. The Office System File Update, also known as the Office System Pack, or OSP, is shipping with Office 10. What we've done is we've pulled out all of our system files that we normally installed and put those into the system file pack, and that is indeed its own separate MSI. The goal of this is to begin to wean Office off of shipping system files. So this package, the OSP, installs on Windows 98 and NT4, if needed. A case where it would not be needed is if Office 2000 SR1 had already been deployed on that system. Office 2000 SR1, as well as Windows 2000, has the basic system files that we need to install. So if we detect that Office 2000 SR1 has already been installed on Windows 98 or NT4, the Office OSP does not need to be installed on those systems. Also, there's no mandatory reboot with Windows 2000 or Windows Millennium. What I mean by a mandatory reboot is it's only going to replace files if those files happen to be in use. And the setup does not actually run after the reboot, as in the case of Office 2000. Sometimes after the reboot, Office 2000 setup needed to continue to run. In this case, we're just doing file replacement and don't need admin rights on the backside of reboot, if indeed the level of system files was already there. In most cases, if the machine has just been rebooted and you run the install of Office, Office will not need a reboot on Windows 2000 or Millennium, or if Office 2000 SR1 was already on the system. What this does is it greatly reduces your testing matrix. Most corporations have already tested their internal and external applications with Windows 2000. So that means when Office 10 comes along, they don't need to do all this testing again, because Office 10 does not lay down new system files beyond what Windows 2000 already has. The goal of this is to speed deployments within corporations. I'm sure a lot of you have worked with corporations that have had to go through and retest many of their own internal and external applications with the new level of system files, just because Office 2000 shipped them. Well, in Office 10, they don't need to go through that test pass, hopefully improving the deployment times of Office. In order to make this change, applications had to innovate without requiring the new system file updates. For example, Access does not require the new MDAC 2.6. And Excel decided to privatize its OLAP data provider. That means it is now installing what it needs with Excel itself and not using the core one that ships with the OS, thus giving Excel the room to innovate, but again, allowing it so that corporations don't have to retest their own internal applications with a new OLAP data provider. Now that we've talked about the system files, let's go ahead and move into some of the changes that we've made regarding the Office Resource Kit tools. First of all, I want to mention the changes that we've made to the custom installation wizard. Now in Office 2000, this was a new wizard and greatly reduced the time it took to customize Office. Well, we've made a number of large steps forward in Office 10 with this wizard. Our Outlook customization was lacking in Office 2000. We've greatly improved the Outlook customizations with Office. Also, we have a new screen allowing administrators to configure new security configurations. So again, IT administrators wanted one place to go to configure the security settings for Office. Now they have that in the new security screen within the custom installation wizard. Now with the user settings, we've leveraged the technology that we had for policies. What we've done, instead of writing to the policies branch, we now allow a graphical user interface to change the settings within the custom installation wizard. That's going to write it to the current user branch of the HKCU. In our site visits after Office 2000 shipped, many corporations wanted to disable run from source. The point being there, they did not want the additional network traffic, and they also did not want the additional server hit for users who are going to run the applications and boot them over the network or off the network every time. And they wanted everything to be able to be installed locally. Similarly, we had requests for install on demand. To not allow users to install on demand, they either wanted it to be installed local or not installed. So what we've done in the custom installation wizard this time is allow checkboxes to disable run from source or install on demand. It's allowing corporations to ensure that their network does not get overloaded. In the custom installation wizard last time, we took a stab at disabling applications. As many of you know, there were a few problems with that. In Office 10, we now have true application disabling. So you can indeed turn applications off, and which brings me to the next point here. The custom maintenance wizard allows you to turn those applications back on. So all the main features in the custom installation wizard are now available in the custom maintenance wizard. Before, the custom maintenance wizard was just a small tool that allowed you to toggle feature states. Now what we've done is we've migrated all the different tools and techniques that we had to create the custom installation wizard into doing maintenance. So as I mentioned, you can do stage deployments and turn applications on now. Corporations like HP, who changed their name or changed part of their name to Allergent, can now change the company name through the custom maintenance wizard. We've added the ability in the custom installation wizard to add it, which we had before, and remove files. And that technology also migrates forward into the custom maintenance wizard. What we've done is indeed use the same code base as the custom installation wizard to create the custom maintenance wizard, thus allowing a great deal of leverage for the people that already know the tool and learn the custom installation wizard to just migrate that technology forward and that information that they have forward into changing Office applications once they've been deployed to the desktops. So something else you can do is change your Outlook profile. Many corporations last time decided to wait or deploy Outlook separately. Now you can deploy Outlook right along with Office. And when the Exchange Server backend has gotten migrated to a new version, they can then send down a new CMW file and have Office change to support that new Outlook configuration. And as I mentioned in the custom installation wizard, how they can change the user settings, they can now change the user settings post-deployment. So let's say a corporation decided to deploy Office without the new task pane because they felt it would be confusing to their users. Now they realize that the task pane is very useful to their users. So what they want to do is turn the task pane on, not through policy, so it's always there, but just as a one-off experience. So the next time the users boot the Office applications, the task pane is there. The users can then choose to turn off the task pane if they so desire, and that user choice will be set. But they at least want to give the users a chance to see the new task pane and reduce their workload by having that new application or that new feature available to them. So we've continued to update some other Office Resource Kit tools also. In Office 2000, the Office Profile Wizard allows you to capture all the applications and send those to a server, and then bring those down to a new machine. Well, we've now expanded that ability. One of the big requests was to pick up per application feature states as opposed to picking up the entire suite. And indeed, that was one of the difficulties users had with stage deployments. So with Office 10, you can now pick up the applications, the settings on a per application basis. We've also incorporated the same technology of the Profile Wizard into what's called the Save My Settings Wizard that ships with the applications. Any user can get to this feature by going to off the Start menu into the Office Tools folder and going to the Save My Settings Wizard. This new tool can save their application settings up to the web and allow them to move their settings from machine to machine very easily. We've also made improvements into the policy templates. We've added new policies for the Office 10 features. We've continued to expand the policies for the Office 2000 ones. Also, in Office 10, we lacked some support for key system policies. So, for instance, we allowed you to map network drives. We allowed users to map network drives even when that system policy was turned off. Well, in Office 10, we are now respecting those key system policies in the File Open dialog and elsewhere in Office, so that when an administrator sets those policies for their operating system, the Office application respects those settings and does not allow users to go in and violate them. Other tools in the Office Resource Kit that we've updated include HTML help, and the version removal wizard, also known as Pipe Cleaner, now has the ability to remove, obviously, the Office 2000 files. As I mentioned earlier when I was talking about chaining and customizing Office, we have this new tool called the Setup Any Customizer. And it's a graphical user interface into the Setup Any file. It allows users to chain installations, add transforms, and add or modify settings like, let's say, the /Q options, or maybe logging options can be set up through the Setup Any Customizer. We're also shipping some viewers. Now that we have these OSP files, which store the profile wizard settings, the CMW files, which are created from the custom maintenance wizard, as well as the MST files, which the custom installation wizard creates, we now have viewers that allow administrators to view what's in these files. We have a new tool called the Microsoft Office Corporate Error Reporting tool. And what happens here is Office has the ability to now report crashes back to Microsoft. So in a retail customer, they can crash, they're going to be connected to the web, they can send us the information about the crash, and once that's sent to us, we can find out which applications are crashing and where, debug those and create patches for them. If a patch has been created for the crash that they find, the user, when they upload those settings, will be able to be redirected and told about the new patch. That new patch can be installed on the machine and then applied, and then the user will never hit that problem again. Within corporations may want to collect this data and may not necessarily want the users reporting that information directly to Microsoft, but instead working with Microsoft so that finding whatever crashes are happening within their corporations and helping Microsoft to debug those problems and allowing them to redirect users to patches. So what the Microsoft Office Corporate Error Reporting does is it allows corporate administrators to, instead of having the users send those reports directly to Microsoft, they can send them to a server within the corporation. The corporation can then analyze those and send the information up to Microsoft and work with us in order to create the patches or bring them down into within the corporate firewalls, allowing the corporations to get the same benefit as Office users without sending the users directly to Microsoft to report the information. So we've taken a look at the tools. Let's go ahead and move on to the improvements that we've made in the book itself. So we've greatly improved the deployment and maintenance documentation within the Office Resource Kit book. We've improved the layout to be more chronological, to start off with maybe the initial deployment and then move into the maintenance stages. Many users wanted more detailed information on setup and setup exe, so we've incorporated that into the Office Resource Kit book itself. We've also made changes, or we've also made this book available on the enterprise CDs. So when you get any of the enterprise suites, the book itself will be there on the CDs, giving the enterprise users added value for the enterprise version. Also, you should always be checking the Microsoft Office Resource Kit journal up on the web. It's going to continue to provide the latest information on the Office Resource Kit. And we're going to be providing new information up there as early as street data of the Office application itself. So please do go and make the Office Resource Kit website your friend. That's critical for the latest deployment information that we're going to be providing to our Office users. So I want to take a minute here and talk about Windows Terminal Server. Windows Terminal Server deployment last time in Office 10 required users to set up with a special transform. Well, now that transform has gone away and we've incorporated that setup directly into Office itself. We've also improved the graphical degradation of the Windows Terminal Server. Now, in working on this feature this time, the goal was almost achieved, where we didn't have to have a Windows Terminal Server slide at all, where it would just work, and indeed, it basically just does. Windows Terminal Server and Office 2000 just work together. Again, all the information about this and how it works is going to be documented inside of the Office Resource Kit. So what we've seen in this talk is looking at Office setup and how we've improved that, looking at how we've maintained the customization and the maintenance applications of Office, as well as looking at the deployment and some of the ways we've improved the system file storage for Office 10. We'll also look at the Office Resource Kit tools and some of the book and how we've improved that. And what we've done in Office to bring this all together is to make Office better from the ground up. Looking at the new system files, we talked when I started this about the pain it was to deploy new system files with Office and how that was slowing deployment. Well, since Office isn't requiring system files beyond the Windows 2000 version, we've taken steps to deploy Office, to speed deployment of Office within the corporations. And of course, maintaining the backwards file format continues to help corporations. We've improved deployment by making setup better. That's like setting up same as last and improving the setup any customizer. So before we had a great deal of difficulty chaining and working with the language packs. Now with the setup any customizer, that becomes easy through a graphical user interface to customize the setup any file itself. And we've looked at the custom installation wizard and how much easier that makes Office to continue to set up, especially looking at the Outlook customizations and the security settings, as well as adding and removing files and other features like that. And one of the biggest areas that we put our focus on this time through was improving maintenance. Looking at the custom maintenance wizard and the different technology that we've incorporated, totally rewriting that wizard and moving a lot of the CIW features into the custom maintenance wizard itself. We've improved things like being able to change the company name and changing the feature installation states beyond what we had before, from true application disabling to true enabling, and bringing that down to the end user's machine. And taking that even a step further by being able to change user settings and add and remove files, not only during setup, but during maintenance itself. We've looked at the profile wizard and how we've made improvements for per application settings with the profile wizard, as well as updating policy support to be able to change those policies after deployment, and also changing that in the user settings branch through the custom installation wizard and the custom maintenance wizard. With all these feature enhancements, the goal of it was to make it easier for our SEs and technical salespeople to work with customers and to explain to them all the improvements that we've made within the deployment and maintenance technologies of Office. I greatly appreciated this time to be able to talk with you about the improvement that we've made, and really appreciate the work that you're doing within the field to sell Office and to explain to IT administrators the great benefit that we've taken in Office 10 to make their job a lot easier. So do we have any questions at this time from the field?
Just one, just kind of for those in the field who are anxious to get their hands on the tools, do you know the location where they can find those?
The tools themselves have shipped with the Office 10 beta. I'm not quite sure how that beta is getting distributed to the field, but whatever the normal beta path is in order to get those. They are shipped. What you have to do on the beta CDs once you get them, there is an Office Resource Kit folder on the setup, on the CD itself, and you can set up those tools directly from the Office Resource Kit subfolder on the beta CDs. Is there anything else?
Doesn't appear to be any other questions.
Great. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this, and good luck selling Office in the field. Thank you very much.